Hey, I'm coming in heavy on my fat man scoop-ish. You already know what it is, man. Baby our baby. All the monikers you can imagine in the world. Everything that sets your girl on fire past midnight. You know, tell your kids that I'll be home. Tell them to not call me after midnight because my kids will be asleep. All right? I'm going to keep going. Veronica's already looking annoyed. We doing this big, all right? You already know what it is, man. I'm on my DJ drama-ish. Mr. Thanksgiving because we are in November. We coming out strong. This is what happens when you get that Mexican Nazi intro, all right? Complete hype, no silence. You already know.
I actually don't. Did you even introduce yourself in the entire
Mexican Nazi? You heard it. Ricardo Mexicano, baby R.
Okay, all right. I don't see what the difference was between any of that you just said and my impersonation of you, or sorry, my Halloween costume of you last week. I think that I was pretty spot on.
I put the swag and the flair in it.
Whatever. Hi, hello, it's Vero Fuerte. This is the smooth sounds of my voice, primarily because I can only open my mouth half a diameter or Anyway, yeah, wisdom tooth. That's a thing.
Pretty painful, right?
Yeah. But like I said,
so Veronica is still undergoing her recovery phase from her wisdom teeth surgery last Wednesday, right?
Last Wednesday. Oh my gosh, has it been a freaking week already?
Tomorrow will be a week.
Well, they said that it was gonna get worse before it got better, and today was freaking evidence of that. I could barely open my mouth. This is about as far as I was gonna go. So whatever you guys do, don't expect any loud Veronica outbursts this episode. This ain't the one, baby.
So do you think you're reaching that peak, or you have reached the peak?
I hope so. I motherfucking hope so. I'm so over this crap. But hi, hello. It's great to be here on our ultimate. This is the
last episode of the season. It's been a pretty great run, if I do say so myself.
I feel a lot of things about the season. I'm really proud of us, if that's weird to say, but anyway, I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves. Hi, hello, again. I guess we should go ahead and we start off with the Latinx birthdays.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to Carlos Fuentes, who was born this week. He's a celebrated novelist from Mexico who wrote the novel Death of Artemis Cruz, along with happy birthday to Fernando Allende, who is also a Latin singer, actor, and writer.
Carlos Fuentes, that name does sound familiar.
Yeah, he's a really big novelist. Yeah, and I actually had heard of Death of Artemis Cruz before. It's just one of the many books that I have yet to fucking touch because I am a chronic procrastinator.
Yeah, shout out to those two. So you want to move into our first topic? You got anything else you want to mention?
Nope. That's about it.
Hey, yo, yeah. Before we start, actually, just shout out to all the guests that were on the episodes previous to this.
I was trying to circle back to that at the end of the podcast.
We're gonna do it again, Mexicano. But we're gonna do it again. But we're just trying to just let it be known, appreciate everybody that came on. Shout out to William, shout out to Fresco's Taco, shout out to Chico the engineer, Smooth Vega, XB Valentine. Am I forgetting anybody? Tunes, yeah. Tunes. Last but not least. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, shout out to all y'all, very much appreciated. This season wouldn't be what it was without y'all. So, yeah. So moving into the next topic. Wow, Veronica's face. I love it. That's one thing. That's the one thing she be getting.
I don't know if it's you or his painkillers. I am dying.
She be getting annoyed of little production thing that she doesn't even state that she wanted to do, and then I do it.
To me, it seems common sense. Why would you say goodbyes and shout outs at the beginning of the podcast?
It's shout out. It's not goodbye. It's just shout outs. It's no goodbyes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you know what? This is a look behind the scenes, you guys. Not everything is honey and silk. Not that we ever pretend.
I don't think it is.
We don't ever pretend for a single second that we get on 100% of the time.
No.
But that's the beauty of it anyway.
So, yes. First topic.
Yes.
So, just like anybody alive on Earth, a lot of time we don't ever stick to what is current regarding what we love in media, whether it be movies, television, and for this segment specifically music, because I'm pretty sure there's a plethora of music that existed before you even born that you love. Would you say so?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like most of my heart is filled up with like 80s music, and I was born in fucking 93.
Right. So we're gonna go past a little bit the 80s, and I kind of want to talk about the obsession that Hispanics, and maybe not all Hispanics, but a very selective few of Hispanics, Latinos have when it comes to oldies. Now, when I say oldies,
Yeah, you have to specify
you
that for me.
you're kind of talking about a certain time in music. You're talking about that Richie Valens, that Smokey Robertson, that Curtis Mayfield, and the Impressions.
So so if we're talking like decades, like you're talking like
I'm talking
50s.
about mid 50s to the early 60s,
Mhm.
right before rock and roll really like took off. It's like, because this was kind of like what popular music was before rock and roll really became its thing.
Okay.
I mean, Elvis was already kind of present, but rock and roll was still finding its footing, I guess. And oldies, and we call them oldies now, but like a lot of oldies are predominantly sold in like R&B, right?
Yeah, into the 30s they would have been newsies.
Yeah, I mean, big band, swing, all that. So there is and like I said, there's a very specific subsect, and I'm just gonna flat out and say it. People who subscribe to the Cholo, lowrider, baggy dickies, starch jean movement are very much a big fan of the oldies, of lowrider music, what a lot of them call it.
And we're not talking about boleros, right?
No, I mean,
but that's from around those are around from the same decade.
Yeah, but boleros is specifically like Spanish, right? For the most part.
They're called boleros.
Right.
Yes.
So, but when it comes to oldies and like that Chicano lifestyle, it's predominantly American music. Mm-hmm. It has to be like.
And Richie Valens was kind of like a crossover.
Yeah, for sure.
It was mostly English, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He definitely crossed over when it came to like being Hispanic and like, but still appealing to a very wide audience. Mm-hmm. I first came into contact of oldies. Came with my cousin. He used to have like these, and and this lets you know how big this like craze is to this day on a very small level, but I feel like it's still there. There will like be like these compilations that will have like that very gangster like Aztec art on the cover, and it will say like lowrider music, and you put it on thinking you're about to hear like some gangster stuff, but it's just smooth R&B from like the 50s and 60s. And that was like my first like introduction to like, what
and
is this?
And this was on cassette?
CD. It was like 99. So the CD had
so what did it say? Like, what was the title? It was like,
I can't remember. I just remember it being green. It had like the muscular Aztec warrior holding the like Aztec princess on it. And like,
so it had a legit cover art. It wasn't just like a burnt CD that.
No, it was like one you could buy. Because like, you remember lowrider magazines?
Yeah.
Like they would have stuff like that in the magazine that you could like order, or even it came included with the magazine.
And would it be soft rock R&B?
Well, I mean, oldies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, stuff like I said, the Impressions, the Manhattans, what the Blue Magic, like a lot of like soul R&B groups that just has like that certain vibe to it, that when you're just chilling outside with the ladies, you're having a barbecue on a Sunday night, or maybe you're in the Cutlass, you're in the caddy rolling down your neighborhood, you put that music and it just kind of creates this magic around you, this aura of like yeah, I'm that dude, and I got my girl with me, and life is good. Mm-hmm. Like it's like I said, it's a big thing in lowrider culture, but I feel like that kind of like got my interest peaked when it came to like.
Did you ever own a lowrider Mexicano?
No, but for me, it just came to the appreciation of the music, and I just loved it. Like just hearing like these vocals and like the way they soared and just instrumentation. This was like when I was a kid, when I was like 6 or 7, and not really knowing what was going on, but I would hear these songs and be like, man, this is like really good. And I like, and of course it's outside of the lowrider culture as well. Just, normal people who like oldies aren't always like Chicanos or like Cholo and stuff like that. But probably Chicanos. But what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be necessarily subscribed to that lifestyle to like it. Because there are plenty of people that
do. The lowrider lifestyle?
Yeah.
I never before this moment ever thought that you had to be a little like to subscribe to the
Right.
lowrider Chicano
No, exactly,
lifestyle
exactly.
to
But I'm
like.
saying that it's more prominent in that subculture.
Uh-huh.
All that type of music. Obviously anybody can listen to it. Not like it's just exclusive to them, but when it comes to like Hispanics and like Chicanos, that's like a big thing. So I don't know. What is your experience like? Do you know like let's say like your parents, like your mom, like
What kind of music did she listen to growing up?
does she like that type of music?
Nah, homie, like all of the music that I ever got into growing up, Temptations, Lou Ross, all of that stuff was all through like my own exploration. I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel like the closest person that ever put me on to anything was maybe my uncle, and that was because he was 10 years older than me. He was the one who got me into like pop hip hop, like at the time. I mean, and no offense to the people that I'm about to like name off, but like Kanye West around graduation, when Hey Mama came out, Lupe Fiasco, like right around like that time, when they were like radio hits and stuff. My uncle would grab the CDs and he would play them, and like that's how I got into like that genre of music, and it evolved from there. And then I had to go back on my own and get into the oldies, like once I figured out, hey, like obviously like it's like a breadcrumb trail, like everything like comes after, everything sourced from somewhere else, right? um but as far as the music that my parents and people around me listen to,
It wasn't oldies.
hell, well, no. The closest thing to oldies is like obviously they listen to boleros, they listen to rancheras, they listen to like Vicente Fernandez, like really old school Mexican music, and on top of that, like 80s. That's where I got influenced with my love of soft rock. You give me Celine Dion, Patrick Swayze. Did Patrick Swayze sing? I feel like no, maybe he was just on Dirty Dancing um on the soundtrack, but I don't think that he actually sang. Anyway, um but yeah, no, you give me any of that soft rock stuff, that's basically where I got it from. I got it from my mom. Cher, Madonna, all of that stuff. Well, I mean, Cher and Madonna didn't really stick to me like that, but something along those lines, that general genre. Um that's about as oldie as they get. I think that my mom liked a couple of like really old school country western songs, and that's it. I honestly, like, I come from a family, or at least a neighborhood, that we were so and this, it sounds weird to say, but we were so preoccupied with just like living and trying to get by, especially when I was younger, that they didn't really enjoy music like that. They didn't enjoy the arts, or they didn't enjoy it's not like that. It's just, we were all very like work focused. We were all very like, we have to do this to get from point A to point B. And I think the closest thing that we ever did as far as like joy and celebration and stuff like that is probably in regards to food. But music, not so much. I had to really cultivate a love of that and a research of that, and a knowledge of that on my own.
Interesting. I guess for me, I just find it very interesting that the fact that, like I said, like I was first introduced to it through like this compilation CD, like a legitimate CD that was pressed from like some sort of record, lowrider based record company.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that when I think about it now in hindsight, they were going to like finding vinyl to find these old songs, transfer them digitally and put them on CDs. Like,
But that's what they all always had to do. Either that, or like get them from another CD.
yeah, but it's one thing to do it to a very popular album, but it's another thing to like find very obscure songs like oldies. 'Cause a lot of oldies.
But how do you know they were all that obscure? They're obscure for us, but maybe they weren't obscure back then. Maybe they were the top 40 back then.
No, that's the thing. A lot of these artists, because back then it was so cutthroat to get into the industry, if you didn't hear about a certain artist, they were kind of lost. They were kind of lost to time.
That's true.
So people over the years, from like the 50s on, and like in the 80s and like the 90s, where it really started because of hip hop also helped just bring back these samples that people just never heard. and finally bring it to light for the first time in like decades. And I just find it, like I said, I find it's endearing because they are finding these old gems that maybe people have forgotten about, but maybe they heard when they were a kid, maybe that their parents listened to, and like, oh, I remember that song. Let me try to go find it. Let me press it up and put it on a CD, and now let me distribute it to all the homies, stuff like that, so they could cruise around in the Cadillac and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, it's a very unique thing to Hispanics to like have that love and appreciation for oldies. And
I have never heard of that before in my life before you brought it up 10 minutes before we started recording for this podcast.
It's a thing. Look it up. I challenge you. Just Google oldies and Hispanics Chicano. Type in like oldies Chicanos. You'll find a plethora of like compilations on YouTube.
All right.
With like
I'll take your word for it.
With like the typical like sad girl like drawing that you would see.
Oh yeah, no, I remember the drawings. I know the artistic motif very well.
Oh yeah. But all right, so moving on to our next topic, we have a little bit of a more sour news, a little bit more current event. This is involving the recent tragedy that happened at the second annual AstroWorld Festival. Yeah, AstroWorld. Yeah, I believe this is the second one because I think the year prior, or 2019, was the first one, and last year was COVID, so it didn't happen. But so it was scheduled to go down between, what was last week? I think the 5th and the 6th.
Yes.
Yeah, so Friday and Saturday. But that very Friday, from the very beginning, and you can go online and research and see certain videos, it was already getting pretty hectic, particularly with like people trying to get in. Some people eventually like just decided to like bum rush the security entrance and just kind of run through. A fence actually got broken down, and you can kind of already tell that.
So for someone who has not heard about this at all, what exactly went down? So AstroWorld is a concert, right? That's put on every Yeah,
it's a very new one, but it's a festival that Travis puts on where he invites a lot of artists, some of his friends, just some people he likes, down to Houston to kind of celebrate, like, what was, I guess, taken away at one point, which was AstroWorld, which was the Six Flags down in Houston. And this is kind of like his way of like kind of like giving something back to the city that they can enjoy on a yearly basis, right? And if you've been to a Travis show, he's known for getting wild, what he likes to call raging, right? And he learned that from like Cudi, because Cudi's one of his favorite artists, Mr. Rager, all that. So that's where he gets his whole influence from, to like, let's rage, let's go crazy, let's turn up. And sometimes Travis's fans can kind of be a little overboard.
Be too much. Be doing too much.
Yeah. And
that's why I don't fuck with mosh pits, bruh. You already know how I feel, man.
But even with that said, I don't think all of this doesn't really have to do with the fans ultimately. I think this comes down to a perfect bad concoction that just kind of culminated into this tragedy. And what happened was that 8 people, I believe it's still 8 people, I may be wrong if the number has gone up, but 8 people have passed away, lost their life due to what a lot of people say was overcapacity. So these people essentially were passing out. They were being suffocated pretty much by the crowd. Yeah, and they just couldn't escape because there was just so much. I think they said that at one point the capacity at the, wherever they were.
Panic attacks too.
Yeah, for sure. Wherever they were gathering was like 50,000. And it's a pretty big space. I think with the NRG park, it's a pretty big space, but you can just imagine that cluster of people. I mean, we went to ACL, and some of those crowds, it was probably maybe 200, 300, and it already felt like a lot.
Yeah, no, I did, but I don't even think the crowds were, at least the way that everyone's describing AstroWorld. ACO was not nearly as bad.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, just imagine 50,000 people like crammed in, and like just you're talking about people who, I mean, I think a kid lost his life, like a little 10-year-old boy. I mean, these are people who normally just
What is he doing at AstroWorld?
It's open to all ages,
I guess.
And I think that's one of the lessons learned behind this. Like, man, you got to have tighter like regulation when it comes to these things. Like,
I don't know. The thing is that when it comes to chaotic things like that, I think what's the most, not even necessarily distressing, but just one of those things where it's like, I don't want to say like, what are you gonna do? But one thing that is really, really hard to control in this life is this idea of mob mentality. You know, it's like when you get like so many people together, you know, it's almost like it's almost like you never know what's going to happen, you know, and like sometimes you pay the ultimate price for it. And I'm not saying that I don't know. I personally do not have the answer for that kind of solution, you know, because think about like, I mean, obviously not in the past year and a half, but typically, you know, like all of the concerts that people go to, all of the 5Ks that people run, all of the things that involve mass gatherings at any point in time, you know, people could just yeah, turn up, turn loose, turn too hard and then, you know, like disaster could happen.
Mhm.
You're we are around crowds, obviously, like not necessarily the case in the past year and a half, but we are around crowds so much more often than than we are aware of. You know, with at any point in time that anything could happen, and I'm not saying this to be a fear monger because I'm probably the most relaxed around other human beings, probably way more relaxed than other people are. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it's like there's a part of this that feels not inevitable but like uncontrollable. Like what could we have done?
Oh yeah, and I think that's what people are trying to figure out. Like, what could have been done? Like, was it
And I think that's the part that people are really grappling with, like you
right? Yeah,
said,
because
yeah.
ultimately, when something like this happens, people are very quick to do
To
the
want to
blame
get
game, the blame
blamed, you
game, right?
know?
So
It's how people, I don't know, find peace in some of this
yeah,
shit for
yeah.
whatever reason. If they can find someone to blame, they feel better.
So obviously, they're gonna point the finger at Travis because the reason they say Travis because Travis is known to like I said, Mister, Rage. He is very known for like instigating the crowd and being like, no, keep going, go crazy, go crazy. Is that enough to justify him being responsible for this? I don't think so personally. Even if he does get a little bit out of hand when he keeps telling people to like keep going crazy, I don't think that's still a reason to blame him. Obviously, you're gonna blame the promoters, his team, who went ahead and put together the festival, security team. There's so many things that could have happened. Should have been more rules in place, like I alluded to earlier. We don't know. Um, when I watched some videos on YouTube about people talking about their firsthand account, one weird thing, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but one weird thing I keep seeing in these videos, and I feel like it's just kind of like sick and like they're kind of toying with what happened, is that they keep describing the event as like satanic and demonic. And that the reason that all this happened was because there was a satanic presence in the air and that it was demonic and it was like this bad
What
juju.
kind of TikToks are you watching?
Really? Like for real, like people are like really like everything that comes across my feed, every single video I watch, they'll talk about like, oh yeah, it was like this and this, like that. And then they'll eventually bring up something about Satan and demons. And I'm like, there's a part of me that's just like, okay, maybe you got bad vibes, but there's also another part of me that says like, this just feels like you're kind of like exploiting the situation.
Exploiting it for what? For the Lord?
No, like you're saying that something was like satanic and demonic and like almost making like you're taking the focus away from like the victims and just making it about like this evil presence that you felt. And that somehow that is the reason for the
Well, some
for the loss
people's
of life.
spirituality is like that tight, you know?
It's not even that. Most of the people in the video will straight up say like, I'm not spiritual at all. But they'll keep mentioning something about demonics and stuff like that. It's weird. I don't know why it's a common theme in the videos.
I don't know. I find that really interesting. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah. So, definitely sending condolences to all the family that are dealing with the loss of their loved ones, and hopefully.
Because the last thing, I mean, not to like, I mean.
What?
I was just gonna say, you ever thought about how you're gonna die, Mexicano?
Nah.
No?
Mm-mm.
I don't think I have done the math about right around when I'm going to die, like around like the decades and stuff, and that stuff freaks me out, even though even though I don't like to think about it that much. But like I've told you one of my biggest fears is to like die choking on food, right? And I can only think that again, it frustrates me because this shouldn't have happened.
Don't tell me you're thinking about that thing about like if you were to die, you want to go out in a blaze of glory.
No,
That's what it sounds
no. Okay, that sounds like something ignorant ass 13-year-old
That was
Veronica would have said.
Because it sounds like, man, it'd be so lame to die while I choke on my food.
Oh, I mean, no, it would be, but that's what
Of
I'm saying.
course, it'd be lame because you're dead.
But it would be lame because I'm dead. But the thing is that people die all of the time, and I just think that like dying at this AstroWorld concert. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just say it. Like, it sucks, and it's a stupid way to go. And I'm really, really sorry to all of the families that now have to deal with this, because I mean, yeah, obviously it's everything first and foremost that their loved ones are gone. But I'm just thinking about like if I want to choose a way to die, like that would not be it. And so I'm sorry, and condolences to you.
Yeah. Hopefully they get some resolution. I think a lot of the families are suing right now, so we'll see how that goes in the next coming weeks or months.
And what we have next, you guys, is of course the very last one for season 3 of In Living Spanglish podcast. You already know it is Conspiracy Corner.
Oh, the money maker.
Why do you keep exaggeratively like?
You don't act like we don't got like thousands of dollars in the bank because of this.
Yeah, you're right.
Thousands of Monopoly bills just stacked up in our fictional.
All that fake monies, baby.
Exactly. You know, this is $1 million idea. That's what I'm just saying. All right, I got to put it out to the universe. You know, you're all about putting things out there.
Manifesting shit.
Yeah, manifesting.
Yeah. You know, I'm on my woo woo shit.
Yeah, I'm putting it out.
Lately.
I'm putting it out there. So, last one for this season, Conspiracy Corner. This might be a little. I mean, some of my conspiracy corners have been in like bad taste. I would say some of them, but this one just feels extra because we're in November, and November 22nd is not too far off. It's November 9th today, and if you know what happened in November 22nd, 1963, then you kind of see where this conspiracy is probably going. That was the day of the JFK assassination in Dallas. My conspiracy corner for this week is about the theory that the driver of JFK's automobile shot the president.
The driver of JFK's automobile shot JFK?
Yeah.
How do you figure that?
So I'm gonna tell you. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
So the theory goes.
That's what I'm here for. Good segue, woman.
Yeah. So the theory goes that Governor John Colony, who was who was the governor of Texas at that time, had a rifle that he was going to bring with him and stow away somewhere on this person, and that the reason he brought it was that him and John Kennedy were going to go to the shooting range after this whole little parade thing was done and like shoot guns, because why not? You're in Texas. You're going to shoot some guns, right? So that was the plan. And that apparently, this is all alleged, there was a robbery that happened at the governor's house the night prior. And people believe that somebody that was close to the president was the one that broke into the governor's house and took that pistol, that gun. The driver, by the way, is named William Greer. He is a real person. This isn't somebody just made up. He is the person that is driving the motorcade that day. And that the infamous Zapruder film, the one where you see the president actually being shot in the head, has been heavily edited or completely removed the scene to where the driver turns around
and shoots him?
And shoots the president right in the head.
First of all, there would have been eyewitnesses to that.
Yeah. Right?
Well, what a sucky ass. Because this is how you choose to end season 3, Mexicano.
It's with the timing. No, it's not.
Sucky ass.
It ties into it.
Conspiracy that it can be easily debunked.
Well, I mean,
I thought I knew you better, Mexicano.
I think remember, I don't ever say if I believe these things or not. I'm just putting stuff out there.
Uh-huh.
All right? So a lot of people say that the reason this thing has legs is that because the person driving it was Secret Service, by the way. Mm-hmm. So if there was anybody that was going to get away with this, it would be somebody tied to the Secret Service. Because you're not really going to question the Secret Service. The people who are like literally, their whole mission is to protect the president at all costs. So are you gonna go against the word of a Secret Service agent? That what happened? Like, let's say they painted it as an accident.
Mm-hmm.
That, let's say, because this is what a lot of people think, is that the whole plan was to kill the president, right? The United States government was going to kill the president by any means. That's what the theory says, and that the everything around it, like Oswald shooting the rifle, was kind of a distraction, and that the driver was acting in self-defense, but while acting in self-defense, he had accidentally shot the president. That's where it starts to grow like a little bit more plausible, that it was an accident, but it was all part of this elaborate scheme to kill him in the first place.
Nah, no, people got way too much time on their hands, because JFK assassination already has so many conspiracy theories around it in the first place.
It's the greatest conspiracy of all time.
I don't know. The man on the news got you beat, bruh. Yeah.
There's no way.
And
I mean, the Kubrick thing, like with the man, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But the JFK thing is the granddaddy, in my opinion, of conspiracy. When it comes to the amount, when it comes to documentation, when it comes to like just all these little obscure things, I don't think anything. Yeah, Man on the Moon may be more grandiose because damn, it is the moon. But JFK.
That's what I want this podcast title to be. Nice. Damn,
but,
it is the moon.
Yeah, but like JFK, it just has so much weight to it, and like the gravity of it. No pun intended.
Yeah. You full of them quips today, aren't you?
So that's it. Do with this information what you will.
Well, probably nothing.
Probably
You're gonna
nothing.
do nothing. You're gonna listen to this podcast. You're gonna be like, "Oh, that's interesting," and then forget everything Mexicano just told you in your ears.
Let me just leave it with this, just to cap off the conspiracy corner for season 3. If you're a really big fan of these, I would suggest going on YouTube and looking up Wendigoon, WENDIGOON. He does a great conspiracy iceberg video that you will like spend hours just watching. So please go watch him if you continue stuff like this. If you love stuff like this.
That's not how you plug the ILS podcast. What you should be saying is if you love stuff like this, go back and listen to our old YouTube videos. Of course, yeah. Listen to our stuff first. Then go to that. We should really clip out these segments and really push you on the nets. I'll work on that.
And then while you're on YouTube as well, looking up Wendigoon, make sure to go to the ILS YouTube channel.
There you go. That's what we're talking about.
Because we're still building that up and posting content on there. So
like, subscribe, suscribir, todo
yeah,
eso.
Yeah, of course.
Dame un like, por favor.
Yeah, like, subscribe, turn on notification, all that.
All right, and so what we have next after that lovely conspiracy corner is we have the final glow of the year. Good looking out. This is where we go ahead and we tell you everything that we've been into lately: movies, music, books, all of that good stuff. So what I have is actually something that I ended up just watching earlier today. It was released November 2nd, so very recently. It's a comedy special on HBO Max by Aida Rodriguez, and it's called Fighting Words. So, unbeknownst to me, you know how sometimes you'll be following people on the socials for so long, or like you just randomly, absentmindedly hit the follow button, and then you completely forgot that you follow them at all. And then, so I was halfway through watching this special, right, where I was like, this is really cool, this is really dope. I'm gonna pull her up on Instagram and start following her. I'm like, oh wait, I already follow her. How come I didn't know that? See, and that happens to me all the time. But anywhoosies,
actually, no, I don't think that ever happens to me.
That happens
I'm pretty
to me
deliberate.
all the time.
I'm pretty deliberate in who I follow.
I'm pretty generous in if you're dope, I'm gonna follow you. Okay, and I expect the same treatment back. Okay, so
she's not dope.
Whatever. All right, so Fighting Words, comedy special, HBO Max, right? Aida Rodriguez basically travels back to the Dominican Republic. Well, it's kind of split in two ways. You know how a lot of these comedy special work how they are in like the stand-up room or like the venue half the time, and then the other half the time they are, because I know that Yvonne Orji did this thing too, where like the other half of the special she went back home right, to Nigeria. And with Aida, she ended up going back to the Dominican Republic. But
I'm glad they're being more creative with these like little, I guess, intermissions when it comes to like comedy specials like that on streaming services, because I'm tired of the green room dialogue that happens in almost every single one since like 99, where it's just them and like their agent talking about whatever. Some of them could be funny, but it's the same production for like the past 20 years.
Right. And I mean, for me, you know me, like back in the very beginning of the year, one of the New Year's resolution I made for myself was to laugh more, right? And in order to do that, you have to surround yourself with funny things. You have to, watch more funny movies, things like that. And a big one of mine was to watch more comedy specials too. And so, again, like with the Yvonne one and the Rodriguez one that I've been watching, I just found it interesting that they both chose to do that sort of thing, right, back to back.
Yeah.
But again, Fighting Words, the comedy special, she focuses on both. Her comedy focuses on a lot of things, like both sides of her Puerto Rican and Dominican heritage, colorism, sexual abuse, dating, making reconnections with her past, and all of that. Like, yes, it sounds really serious, but it was really way more of a half comedy special, half like Yalma Fix My Life lifetime travel documentary. And I think, without ever having seen her before, one thing that you could really tell from watching her for this 1 hour is that like she really nailed her storytelling to share her truth and her experiences and her intention was very much like not to perpetuate negative stereotypes. It's like she went, and it's very hard describing and recommending comedy specials because you don't want to give away any of the jokes, right? So it's like that delicate balance of like saying what the comedy special was about, but without, like giving too much away. But she would, I think one of the reasons that I appreciated her was, as a comedian, she was able to go there and make fun of the wokeness that like elevates, that tries to like ally themselves like next to minorities, and she called them out on stage, and she I don't know, I really appreciated the fact that like she addressed a lot of the problems and a lot of the challenges, that's a better word for it, a lot of the challenges that happen in our Latino community with colorism and like with our fathers and things like that. And still showing a lot of love and light to our community. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm gonna just tell you how the special made me feel. Like, I finished watching it, I felt like if my mom was a comedian and if my mom was like funny like that, it felt like watching one of my tias or one of my moms be up there for an hour, just like telling like the gruesome, gritty truth of like how they came up, but in a way that fills you up with hope and light and laughter. And I loved it. All in all, like 9 out of 10 Veronica stars. It was really solid.
Well, dang. Now we really know how you feel about your mom. She's not funny.
Nah, my mom's a lot of things. Funny's not one of them. Love you, Ma.
Veronica's mom, I'm sorry for that.
Nah.
Your daughter doesn't think you're funny.
That's okay. Not everybody can be funny.
I did see you watching some of that, and when I heard it, I'm like, I know what she's watching, because I saw a advertisement for this like last week, and I was just like she's watching that thing, and I'm like, but she looked like she's asleep too, so I don't even know if she's really watching it.
My wisdom teeth was fucking killing me, but I was trying to pay. I paid attention. I probably slept in like 10 minutes in the middle of it, but other than that,
no, that's cool though. I'm gonna check it out because it looked interesting to me too.
Yeah, it was really good
when I saw the little promo for it. So, last glow of the season, and mine has to go to the newest film by Wes Anderson. Saw it in theaters, The French Dispatch. Now, this film is a little different from its other ones in that it is a anthology. Mm-hmm. So you have...
And what other films has Wes Anderson made, for those people that are familiar with his directorship?
If you don't know, The Grand Budapest Hotel,
Fantastic Mr. Fox,
The Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Royal Tenenbaums, Moonlight Kingdom,
Moonrise,
Rushmore, Did I say Moonrise or Moonlight?
You said Moonlight.
Oh yeah, Moonrise. I'm over here thinking of Moonlight, the other movie.
Yeah.
What else has he made? Yeah, I mean he had many more, but those are some of the big ones. So yeah, this is very different in that it's an anthology, and that there's about like four short stories within this this bigger picture that kind of tells the life and death of like this newspaper based in Ennui, France, but is originally from this little small city in Kansas. I think it was called Liberty. And years ago, the creator of the newspaper, who's played by Bill Murray, moved to France to kind of like be surrounded by art and like food and like being able to bring like this side of Europe to like the world, this side of France to be specific. And he recently passed away. This is not really a big spoiler, by the way. This is right at the very beginning, so it's nothing crazy. But through the death of the creator, it kind of like goes back in history, and kind of tells unique articles, unique columns from the newspaper, and kind of goes through them in parts. And it's a wide ensemble of characters played by, Bill Murray for sure, Owen Wilson, Benicio del Toro, what's that? Timothy
Charlemagne.
Yeah,
Charlemagne.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet. He's in there. And a lot of the characters that you know from like Wes Anderson film, because he tends to use a lot of the same actors.
He's like Adam Sandler that way.
Yeah. So, it's very hard to describe it. It's very funny. A lot of moments, a very funny film. The one short story that talks about Benicio del Toro's character, who's like this like amazing artist who's like gone insane and put into like a mental asylum for like something he did. I'm not gonna spoil it, but that whole segment was just full of like just witty humor like throughout like the whole thing. And then like Timothy Chalamet's character in his little short story, he was kind of like this radical like college student who was like protesting against something that I'm not gonna give away as well. That scene was really great. That whole little short story. I think what they was what he had, and just like the wider range of like talents within like all the actors and actresses, he was able to convey a pretty coherent story, even though some of it was just kind of like jumbled and you really didn't know what to make at certain parts. I found it pretty entertaining overall. Like I said, it's very hard to describe just because there's short stories, but I think it was just kind of Wes Anderson's way of like just showing how much he loves filmmaking while making it with some of like his favorite people to work with. So it's like a very entertaining film. It's pretty diverse when it comes to like the little stories it's telling, so I would definitely recommend it. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's nothing like Grand Budapest, and it's nothing like Fantastic Mr. Fox, but it does stand on its own. I think it's still a great film nonetheless.
I still need to get into like Wes Anderson. Like, I know people write for him. I just have not dipped my toe in there yet. But I'm glad you liked it.
Oh yeah.
All right, and that has been our show, the very last episode of season 3 of In Living Spanglish. Oh, and actually,
before we go,
yes,
I had a little something that I kind of wanted to do. So, for people who may not know, so you know the little intro that you hear at the very beginning, the little beat. Well, I am the one who composed that little intro, and making beats, hip hop beats in particular, is something that I'm very passionate about and really like. So I just thought it'd be fun to kind of like show you what it is when it comes to like sampling, and like, and for people who don't know what sampling is, just like taking a piece of music, warping it, manipulating it, and making it into like something new that you can, repurpose into like a new song. And I kind of just want to show you like what that sounds like, kind of like live. From the start to the very end, and like what you have. So this is like a very simple loop. This is not my beat. This is just something that I'm recreating from a song that already exists. So I'm just gonna kind of like break it down, and you can like keep talking about it if you want.
No, I'm good. It's all you, baby boy.
No, keep talking because I want you to like go back and forth. So you can like just tell me like what you think I'm doing. So like if you hear this part right here,
oh, you mean you want me to like describe what I see on the screen?
Yeah, exactly. So like,
all right.
So like, if you hear this,
so
right?
He has Fruity Loops open.
So you hear that? So right, that's the original little sample. Let me drop that down. So you
Special exclusive on the In Living Spanglish podcast.
So you hear that? So let's do a little.
Name another podcast that gives you real-time beat making tutorials. I dare ya.
Let's do a little like pitch shifting, and then we got.
So basically, this is just you like raising the pitch up a notch, right?
Yeah. So right now what I'm doing is kind of like chopping. So you have all that right, and like once I kind of like have everything the way I want it. So let me do that one more time. So kind of like that, and then once you kind of have like everything like, and this is like me skipping to like the very, because I'm not about to explain like everything else I do in the middle. But once you have everything pretty much chopped the way you want, you kind of just play back and it sounds like this. And that's it. So that's it. Season 3, ILS. This is the end of the season, but not the end for us. We will be back very soon. We won't put a time on it, but guarantee it'll be something. Why
do you need to help me with
that? What? We'll be back soon. They already know what it is. It's ILS. It's Ricardo Mexicana. It's Veronica Perez, Mexican Nazi, Vero Fuerte. Make sure to put an underscore after that. If you want to find us on IG, Twitter, everything. And what? You got anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you for sticking with us this long. We love you. We love you. We love you. We're out. I love